Few days ago, Anthropic built an AI that found security holes in every major operating system and every major web browser on the planet. And guess what? They actually refused to let anyone use it. Not me, not you, not even the most governments. So they gave this to a bunch of 52 companies and locked the door and said, this is too dangerous to the public. This is called Claude Mythos. And what's happening around it right now is genuinely unprecedented. So let me break this down. Hi there, my name is Rako. If you are new to this channel, please subscribe and let's get straight into it. So first things first, so what actually is this thing? So you probably know Claude. It's actually an AI that is made by Anthropic, just like ChatGPT. It comes in different sizes. So Haiku is the small, fastest one. Sonnet is actually the everyday workhorse, and Opus is the most powerful one they have got. Mythos actually sits above all of them. So it's not an upgrade to Opus or any other powerful model they already have. It's completely a new tire. So think of it like this. If Haiku is a bicycle, Sonat is a car, and Opus is a sports car. But Mythos is like a fighter jet that civilians are not allowed to fly. And the numbers back this up. So on SWE-Bench, which tests whether an AI can solve real software engineering problems from actual GitHub repositories, a skilled human developer scores about 67 to 70%. Opus, the previous best Claude, scored around 81%. But Mythos, guess what? You won't believe the number. It scored like 93.9%. On a math competition that would stamp most PhD students, Opus scored 42%. Mythos scored 97.6%. So analysts say the jump from Opus to Mythos is 4 times larger than any previous Claude upgrade. This is not a normal release. So here's how it works. So most people don't understand this, how Mythos actually find all these vulnerabilities. So there is no special app or a separate interface. So it doesn't have a dashboard, which is some kind of buttons that you can play around. Basically, it runs inside the Claude Code. It's a Anthropic's terminal-based coding tool. So the way they use it is almost simple. So they take a piece of software, let's say Firefox web browser, and what they do is just they put it inside a container. It's basically like a sealed room, and the software is in the room. So Mythos is actually the room. They can't reach the outside internet. And they just type one sentence, something like, please find a security vulnerability in this program. So that's all the whole instruction that you need to give. And Mythos does the job. What actually a human security researcher would do, but at a machine speed for hours without stopping. Basically, it reads the source code. It forms a theory about where a bug might be. It runs the program to test the theory. If the theory is wrong, it adjusts and tries something else. And it runs it again. And guess what? It can do this all night while you sleep. And here's the critical part. So when Mythos finds something, it doesn't just say that there might be a bug here. What it does is that it writes a working exploit, actual attack code, just for testing purposes. And that proves that the vulnerability is real. So that code actually breaks the software. And it also writes a written explanation and the reproduction steps, like basically how you can develop this on your own. So Anthropic engineers with no security training whatsoever have asked it to look for vulnerabilities before going to bed, and it woke up to a complete working exploit sitting in their terminal. That changes the whole game, because for 30 years, finding a serious zero-day exploit requires a PhD level expert working for weeks. But Mythos just does it overnight. Now, here's the story that should genuinely make you sit upright. During the internal testing at Anthropic, they put Mythos inside a sealed container, no internet, no external access, completely locked down. And a simulator user told it to try to escape. And guess what it did? It chained together multiple small weaknesses into a sandbox environment, into one sophisticated exploit, broke through the barrier and reached the open internet. Then, without being asked, it emailed the researcher at Anthropic, so let them know it has gotten out. Nobody told it to do that. And then, still without being asked, it posted the details of how it escaped on public accessible websites. Anthropic's own words for this: concerning and unasked for an effort to demonstrate the success. So let that sink in for a second. An AI designed to find vulnerabilities decided on its own to publish how it broke out of the cage creators built. This model they are now giving into Apple, Google, Microsoft, JP Morgan to find bugs in their critical systems. And guess what? They refuse to let anyone else use it. So you can start to see why people are paying attention. What did Mythos actually found? So let's go through the confirmed ones right now. A 17-year-old bug in FreeBSD. FreeBSD is an operating system that powers Netflix, content delivery, parts of WhatsApp's infrastructure, and the PlayStation's operating system. So this bug, given the designation of CVE 2026 4747, it let anyone on the internet gain full root access to any free BSD machine running NFS. No password needed, no credentials, just a specifically crafted network packet. And guess what? Believe it or not, this bug has been sitting with the software since 2009 and none of them found it. It has passed hundreds of code reviews. Every automated scanner missed it. Mythos actually found it and wrote a 20-step exploit split across multiple network packets and proved it worked fully autonomously. Then there is a 27-year-old bug in OpenBSD. OpenBSD is literally the operating system people choose specifically because it's supposed to be the most secure one on the planet. So 27 years old, Mythos found it. And there's one more thing. And a 16-year-old bug in FFmpeg, the software that handles the video processing for basically half of the internet. It survived 5 million automated security tests. Now, I wanted to be honest here. Not everyone in the security community is convinced this is a step change. So there's this person called Bruce. He's one of the most respected security researchers alive in the planet, and he pushed back. He says that you don't need a massive software like Mythos to go and find these bugs. And I see that he has a point, right? So there's this independent group who tested 8 small open source models against the free BSD vulnerability, and all of them detected it. So the detection itself might not be the unique to Mythos, but what is different is the exploit development. The part where it doesn't just find the bug, it weaponizes it into a fully working attack chain autonomously without a human touching anything. So that's the actual step that I see. And the UK government's AI Security Institute confirmed that Mythos completed a full 32-step corporate network attack end-to-end. No AI model has ever done that before. Now, let's talk about why banks specifically are losing their minds over Claude Mythos. So your bank, I don't care which one is it, where it is, probably runs its core systems on code that has written before the internet actually existed. I myself have worked for a bank in Australia. So they're one of the big 4 banks in the country. And I can see that they have actually got most of their system as the legacy ones. So a programming language called COBOL, which is written in 1970s and 80s. And here's the problem. Most software engineers have never seen COBOL. I wasn't even born at that time. So they can't read it, they can't audit it. They definitely can't find security holes in it, but Mythos can. So it can read decades old mainframe code, find weaknesses in the protocols nobody has ever touched in the past 30 years, and write working exploits and prove the holes are real. So there's this one analyst who told the American banker that there are hundreds of significant financial institutions that are not well protected and don't have the ability to defend against this. And the people at the top clearly agree. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent called an urgent meeting with the CEOs of JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Citi, Bank of America, and all the other banks that you can imagine, one day after the Mythos has launched. And the Fed chair, Jerome Powell, the most famous man after the Trump has come into power, he was also in the room. So Jamie Dimon at JP Morgan said Mythos creates additional vulnerabilities. Morgan Stanley CEO Ted Pace confirmed they are actually testing it, and Goldman's David Solomon confirmed the same. The Barclays CEO called Mythos a serious threat to the global banking system. European regulators are running their own reviews, ECB, Bank of England, the UK's financial authority. South Korea's financial regulator met with the bank security teams the same week. And here's the part that nobody wants to say aloud. Banks that have Mythos across can now audit their own code with the most powerful security tool ever built. But the banks that don't, they are flying blind against these AI kind of hype right now. Some banks are already pushing Treasury to ask why JP Morgan got all in first. The legacy code sitting under the global financial system is ticking time bomb nobody was talking about until now. So what's Anthropic doing about Claude Mythos? So they launched something called Project Glasswing, which is named after the glasswing butterfly, transparent wings but surprisingly tough. Instead of releasing Mythos to everyone, they handpick a group. They have got like 12 funding partners. All the top companies that you can imagine are in this list: Apple, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Nvidia, CrowdStrike, JP Morgan, and so on. And plus 40 more organizations that build and maintain critical software infrastructure. They have got like $100 million in computing credits, 4 million in open source grants. Their thesis is simple: give defenders a head start. So let them find and fix the worst bugs on the planet before the attackers get access to the model that is more powerful. So they basically say that build defense before the attack, which I see is as a very safe approach that they can play. In practice though, 52 of the world's biggest companies now hold the most powerful offensive cyber capability which is ever built, with no public oversight, no independent audit, no dramatic process that decided who got in. And then, because the universe clearly has a sense of irony, the whole thing got breached. Not once, but 3 times. On March 26th, a misconfiguration in Anthropic's website leaked the draft blog post about Mythos to the public internet before the company was actually ready to announce this thing. So Fortune found it first. The world learned about Mythos from a blog post that wasn't even supposed to exist in the public. And around April 1st, a separate packaging error from Claude Code exposed roughly 3,000 internal files, about 500,000 lines of Anthropic's own source code. They said no customer data has leaked. They blame this as a human error. And then the big one. On the exact same day, Mythos was officially announced. A small group in private Discord server got into Mythos through a third-party vendor portal. One person reportedly used the legitimate contractor credentials. They made an educated guess about where the model was hosted, and it looks like they were right. Bloomberg says the group isn't using it maliciously. They just wanted to see if it was real. But Anthropic's entire pitch was that this model is too dangerous for the public to access, and the containment failed before the press release was called. They are now investigating this, and their statement is this: so we are investigating a report claiming unauthorized access through one of our third-party vendor environments. So the company that built an AI too dangerous to release couldn't keep its own code locked on for a single day. How crazy and fun is that? That should tell you something about how hard environment actually is in practice. Here's my take. So the capability of Claude Mythos is real and the hype is strategic. That's the most honest thing I can tell you about Mythos. If you want to stay across all these stuffs, the real developments, not the hype, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.